Well, hello and welcome back to the First Rate Legacy podcast. We're keeping this train running because we've had so much fun over the first 4 episodes that we knew we needed more, and so we're here with episode 5, and we're so excited to hear about how love, give, serve, and enjoy just permeates everything that has to do with First Rate and the people connected with First Rate. And I am so excited today to have the guest that's with me, who is the newest member of First Rate's advisory board. And I have to admit, I was a little questionable about him at his first board meeting when he told me he thought the last season of Game of Thrones was its best season yet. And I said, "Ooh, I don't know if this guy and I can get along." But sure enough, I have developed a fantastic relationship with this guy. And it's been a blast having him on the board, and we've got to know each other well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Emil Polito. Emil, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Blake. And yes, I have made Game of Thrones the all-time best theatrical show ever.
Yes.
And the last episode and the last year to me was phenomenal.
And it's I remember you saying that because I think for that board meeting, my devotional, because I always do a devotional in the morning for those board meetings, my devotional was Game of Thrones themed, and so that's how I was able to hear about your hot take on Game of Thrones. And so I was like, oh no, who have we gotten to join this board? But it was one of the best decisions we could have made, and it's been a blast having you on there and getting to know you. So thank you. Thank you. That's kind of where I wanted to start today, was kind of how you got connected with First Rate, how you knew about First Rate, and how you eventually came to be on our advisory board.
Yeah, it's a very, very special story. I'm going to show my age, but I've been in financial services, predominantly mostly operations and tech, since 1978. So,
just yesterday.
Yeah, coming up on 50 years of being in this wonderful industry. And in the prime of my career, I moved into the asset management side of the business. I was a chief operations officer for Mitchell Hutchins Asset Management, and they were the asset management arm of Payne Weber. And basically, Blake, I was on the retail side of the business, and I moved over to Mitchell Hutchins when they were having some issues that needed some heightened attention. And we basically had a problem with getting our financial performance statements out the door for our largest institutional clients. I kid you not, we were like 3 months backed up on getting 3 quarters. Yeah, 3 quarters backed up. And
it's even worse.
It's hard to believe, but everything was manual back then, and we were throwing a lot of sneakers on it, and thus it became obviously the heightened focus. And I learned very quickly why they wanted me to come over there. And that led me to try to figure a better solution, which led me to meeting David Stone, who was in the early days of First Rate. We're talking about early 90s, like, and I don't even know if First Rate was yet a company, but Blake was, David was consulting at the time. I think it was starting. He might have had the company. I don't really remember.
Yeah, it started in 91. So
yeah. So we were talking about right around that time, and I met David through one of our colleagues who knew David, Marie Abadie at the time, and we made the introduction, and the rest was basically history because David came in, and between David's mind and my mind and the rest of the team, we sat around the room, and David was able to rationalize for me in an understandable way about the whole world of performance measurement, which I wasn't a mathematical guy, Blake, to be honest with you. I was more of a process guy. But we hooked First Rate into our counting engine and had David and the First Rate product generate the returns. And we built all kinds of neat things around it to keep the accounts reconciled so that we knew that we could be in a position to at least start generating the endo report that was going out to the client. And wow. You know, I credit David and First Rate for basically bailing me out because we were really struggling, and everybody was all over our poor operations, and they were blaming everybody but who they should have blamed. And so that was number one, Blake. And then number two happened where we both, I don't know if it was me or if it was David, but one of us said, and it probably was me. I don't want to. David's a lot smarter than me, but I basically said, listen, if you guys are holding my official lockdown performance number and you got all my transactions, Dave, how about creating the report for me so I don't have to piece things together? So we were taking things from 3 different systems, like to get to the. So after I got the good performance, it wasn't done. It was just one piece of the. It was puzzle, just one piece of the process, and I said, you know, David, if you could just. Here's a kind of what the report looks that comes from all these systems. But if you are the official books of record for me, and I'm going with your number, why can't you generate the monitor? We called them monitors, appraisals back then, and that's what phase 2 was of my relationship with David, and we did some interesting stuff together, and we were doing. You know, once we did that, we were kind of starting to get the confidence of the organization, and then we started. You know, it was a day of the internet coming out, and David said, "How would you like to put this on an intranet and have your clients dial in to get their monitors?" I said, "Wow, that would be phenomenal." And then we started adding really cool charts and I credited a lot of one of the biggest kind of achievements, getting help from First Rate, and we did have a lot of other problems, but performance became one that we featured.
Nice.
And we should have, because asset managers like Mitchell Hutchins, like all of them out there, what we sell are performance. Our performance is really our product. Mm-hmm. How well we manage money for our clients is really what we have. And I would preach that to our people. And and then my career started to take off, and I got involved with other parts of Payne Weber and other parts of the firm. And I kind of lost touch with David. And David, much to my surprise, not much to my surprise, but I never really knew how big of a firm David was able to build. But the early days,
it was tiny.
No, but I knew something special was going on because I had went down after we started to achieve some level of success. David opened the office in, I don't know if it's the same office. I think it might be. And he was doing all kinds of really progressive things with how he wanted his people to interact with one another, and you know, just the total environment that he was creating there. And he was doing things like you know picnics and
Oh yeah.
and getting people together, and putting ping pong tables in the office,
Dave definitely does not skimp on the enjoy part of the four core values of First Rate. He's always looking for opportunities to add a lot more enjoyment.
And you know something, Blake, in those days, quality was really important, and there was a lot of the Japanese cornered the market on in those days really having techniques of like quality service, and the mutual fund industry and the asset management industry were really spending a lot of money to give the clients the user experience. And in order to do that, you had to have, we had things like employee empowerment back then, Blake, and we had things like Malcolm Baldrige Awards for service. We had things like Dow Bar, really stuff that were really competed to try to give quality. And David was ahead of the curve on that. And I got a lot of good management technique and a lot of, things I copied off of what First Rate was doing and how I built my management style. But, fast forward, the company at First Rate got really, really big, and it was wonderful. And I would hear from time to time that they were one of the largest providers of performance measurement, and they had big clients. And I always was, felt proud to be associated, to be an early,
you were there from the beginning, and you get to say, I knew them when.
And you know what? And CW was still there, and Kate, and there's some people that I really were in the war room with, who were helping us out. And as my career evolved, and I wind up, just to give you a little bit of flavor, I was over 20 years at Payne Webber Mitchell Hutchins. Then I worked at Dreyfus for a little period of time as their chief technology officer. By the way, like, it's a family joke because I'd never turned on a computer in my life, but I was a chief technology officer. That's for another whole podcast. But then I went to Citi, and I ran Citi's money manager outsource division for the company. And I always had the entrepreneurial spirit. But I had a fear of not having the big building behind me. So I always was working for big companies my whole life. And then finally, I decided that the time was right. I was a little bit more secure in my financial side of the equation. And later in life, I went into business with one of the portfolio managers, a chief investment officer of the Payne Webber funds. And we started our own firm, and we had a lot of success in a short period of time, and I wound up selling that. And I don't want to say retired, but I didn't go back to having a lot of people work for me. What I did was I got involved with the advisory side, being on boards, and that's kind of how we had phase two of my David reconnection. One of the boards I worked on was a European firm called Core Financial, and they had a risk management system. It was a risk questionnaire that basically, you would take a questionnaire to determine the true level of risk that you were willing to take in a portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
And then it had a lot of what I thought was complementary offerings to First Rate. And First Rate came to my mind. And I said, you know what, I got to introduce these guys to First Rate. And I reached out to David, and we had a couple of, hello, great to hear from you. How you doing? What's going on? And all that kind of stuff. And
I bet it felt like no time had passed. I'm sure the way y'all picked it up, it was just like you'd been talking the whole time for these decades.
And Blake, it was amazing. And what happened was that we were elder statesmen. Can I use that word?
Yeah,
elder statesmen. And David was doing tremendous things by, taking the firm and expanding it. And quite frankly, at the time, I didn't know the spiritual side of David. I didn't know that. Like, I don't know if you know that.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that. I just knew that he did a lot of really nice things, and he built an environment that was a kind of environment that I thought, man, I would love to work for this guy, and I would love to work in this company. And what happened to me personally is right after I sold my company, it was called American Independence, a month later, I had a massive stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah, a month later, after I sold the company, thank God I was right in front of my family, and I was rushed to the hospital, and I was able to rehab quite well. But it was a year of hard work. And my right side was gone. And to tell you the truth, like if I moved one finger on my right side, my family would get excited. Oh, look, you moved this finger. And yeah, and so my conversations, and that's when I started learning more about First Rate, and David and I started having conversations a little bit more deeply about his faith and kind of my trials and tribulations, being a Catholic boy and being somebody that kind of fell out of religion and belief in God.
Mm-hmm.
We started having some really, really wonderful conversations. And I had already been a couple of things along the way in my recovery started to happen to me that was I call divine intervention. And so our conversations became more about spirituality and God than work stuff.
Okay.
And that's really what fascinated. What fascinated me, and I strive for that today. And basically that led to me actually asking David if I could get back involved, because I would love to help the company out. And that's when I was invited down to that first meeting, and I was down there because I wanted to get David's ear, and he is a special, incredible guy, along with you, Blake. And I could tell you, I'm sure we're going to get further along the way and why and all that stuff. But really, that's if I could summarize it, I was an early adopter of First Rate. I've had a lot of success, and along the way, I had some health issues. Those health issues, in hindsight, I believe helped me become a better person. David recognized that I was on a quest, and he did not only respect me for my knowledge of the business, but also he was very open-armed about getting me on board and helping me, not only from the standpoint of what I could do for First Rate, but how we could get together and collaborate and help me become the person that I, really wanted to be in my later life. So that I hope that's not too Pollyanna, Blake, but that's really the story.
No, that's great. And I mean, what I love about it is this fact that, especially, after your stroke and reconnecting with Dave from that, and kind of always knowing that you appreciated the love, give, serve, and enjoy that's at the core of First Rate, and noticing it from the very beginning, and then wanting to expand on that, and basically finding ways for you to not only learn from First Rate about how you can integrate love, give, serve, and enjoy into your life, but then also now helping First Rate maintain its way of promoting those 4 core values, and you helping advise us on how we can grow from that, and you even working with me and helping me and giving me advice on how that thing that makes this place special grows and is seen, and is what God intends it to be. So it's a beautiful story to see how right from the beginning you saw it, and now you've come full circle to help advise it while also having it still touch and strengthen you. So it's really neat.
And I have the luxury for working with people and companies that I like to work, and there's nothing more fun than me being a big business or a big company guy, trying to take and advise a relatively smaller company, right? It's not Payne Weber, it's a boutique shop, and I was always the professional buyer, right? So I know what guys like me want to hear from companies, and it's been a very I think it's been a very good relationship for both, and then meeting everybody again, meeting you, and the rest of the board members. It really is like a family, and everybody has one common, element, one common goal, and there's 4 pillars, and it really is. We want to make sure that the company continues to succeed, but continues to succeed for the right reasons.
Yeah, doesn't lose its identity in that growth and success.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at the last board meeting, Blake, we were talking about a lot of stuff. Yeah. And I saw David writing down something that I said. And I said to them, hey, something to the fact that, First Street's celebrating a 30-year anniversary, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we might not do well or well enough is really tell the story about First Rate to our clients.
Yeah.
To our existing clients and to our prospects. In fact, sometimes we act like we're a startup. And I told the story about the big companies like State Street, Northern Trust, and Bank of New York used to come in and pitch me. And they have their, managing director, their guy that's in charge. They want to see the COO. To me, I was the decision maker. And this guy comes in, and the first page is about the company. And it says, for example, State Street. We have 1,000 clients all over the globe. We service $1 trillion of assets, all the basic stuff, right? And I was talking about, like, maybe First Rate should celebrate their 30 years of being in business, and we should say it, and we should talk about our client base and things like that. But there's a phenomenon happening, and a big sea change happening in financial services that is bringing the business, the cultures more to First Rate So I said, ESG, is coming. First Rate has always been doing ESG.
Oh yeah.
Right. First Rate is always doing it. ESG is in vogue now. So ESG is coming to First Rate, and First Rate have been doing, First Rate have been doing that since the beginning of the origins of the company. Why wouldn't we celebrate that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we celebrate?
Highlight how we were, we were ESG before ESG was even a thing.
Yeah,
and
I did. I wish I would remember, but David wrote it down. I coined the phrase, and unfortunately,
I think I remember you basically saying that ESG's trying to be what First Rate has been.
That's right. And David said, "I like that. I like that."
Yeah, so, it was good. It was very good, and that's the great thing, and it's all about how we integrate. The whole point is because of how we integrate those 4 core values of love, give, serve, and enjoy into so many different avenues of how we work with the community, how we work with our partners, how we work with our employees and the employees' families. It's just having those at every intersection. Have those values shine just makes all the difference, and it also draws us. I don't think it's a coincidence that you and Dave latched together as you did, because you are quite a jovial person. But the more I hear and get to know you, the more I see how you already had those 4 core values ingrained in you so well, and in things you did. Like I didn't even know that you rock this awesome Christmas tree farm. That's such a unique thing that offers all those 4 core values in such a unique way. Tell us a little more. I always love hearing more about that, those Christmas trees and all that you get to do through that, and the impact that makes.
You really want to hear this story? Like,
I mean,
it's a fun story.
Yes,
everybody knows.
I asked.
So I turned 61 this year, and I was looking to, I don't want to say slow down, because, I love what I do. I love talking to people. I love helping companies. I love our business. You know what I mean? But I thought that there may be something that I could do to maybe have a little bit less of that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So now I was looking for a retirement place, and I really was ready to get in New York City, and that's tough. There's been a Polito in Brooklyn for a very long time. So in Galloway, New Jersey, and I do frequent that area. We've been going to the Jersey Shore our whole lives. I always admired a house that was on a farm, and it just so happened that this house went up for sale, and I literally just pulled in. I didn't know it was a Christmas tree farm, and me and the owner, they were original farmers who owned a lot of land and subdivided it, and this was they were aging and they were ready to sell, and we're still friends today, which should be no surprise to you, Blake.
No, not at all.
So I bought the farm not knowing it was a Christmas tree farm, and she asked me if I could let her nephew run the tree farm, and I said absolutely you can, and so that's how it started, and we bought a place here, and we bought a place in Sarasota, Florida, and then we were going to do the snowbird thing. In New York, we call them snowbirds. We go to Florida in the winter.
Yeah.
And New York, for the summer.
The summer.
Yeah. And what happened was one of my other clients came to visit me. The core financial guys came to visit me, and he saw my farm, and he said, "Oh my God, Emil, this is beautiful. this reminds me of Lapland. Now, have you ever heard of Lapland?
I have not.
So Lapland to Europe is like Disney.
Okay.
And Lapland is a place where Father Christmas goes. And most of them are spectacular places in Iceland, Norwich, all the cold places.
Uh-huh.
And listen, my farm is nothing like that. But there's one. No, there.
Don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself short.
No, there is. I mean, they have hotels, ice sculptured hotels, but there is one in the outskirts of London where Daryl from Core lived. And I started looking at the pictures, and he said, you should do Lapland. And that was all I had. That was all I had to see, because my family loved Christmas, and I saw what they did. And I said, you know what? We could do this at a smaller scale. And we could do charity events around it and give back to the community and, all that kind of good stuff. And we picked 3 or 4 different charities where we would, find one that was local,
uh-huh.
and two that we had some passion about, mostly with children, with kids, or people addicted to alcohol and drugs.
Okay.
And we did it. And you know what? The first year we started, we didn't know what to expect, and we got 6,000 people that came to our farm.
That's crazy. But it's not surprising. The light that you that exudes off of you would naturally bring that many people to your Christmas tree farm on its first year.
And Blake, it's just a way to get the whole family involved and together.
Yeah.
And a place where we all, everybody moves real fast these days. And I have 2 children, and everybody comes. And one of the biggest compliments that I got was a couple of old friends coming and or how all the family got together and and worked and tried to put a good experience for the kids, and how much fun we were having doing it. You have something that you like, that when it ends you're exhausted and you're glad it's over, but in 2 weeks you can't wait for next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You catch your breath, and then you're like, I can't wait to have that rush again.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And so that's what the farm is, and I use it to bring my family together, where we all always have a place to go. And what better time to do it than around Christmas time?
Yeah.
And also use it to
give, yeah. To give and to give back and to serve the community. And it's
we did so many events, Alzheimer's, autism, you name it, we got something going on here. And they do raffles, and I give them bonds, and if there's a family that's down and out, we raise some money for them.
Well, that's awesome.
And we have, Blake, I hope one day you get to come down and see it.
Oh, I plan to.
Yeah. And I think you'd be impressed. And
I'd be impressed.
The first thing I did was get every priest to come down. And I'm a Catholic, so I go to all the local priests and ask them if they need trees or if they need anything for their holiday experience. And we donated trees. And I'm very, very proud of my son. He's very into doing that. And I get the priest to bless the farm.
There you go.
And it's been fun. Really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Now you might think I'm crazy. Some people think I'm crazy. I'm a little bit crazy, but I wouldn't be me if I wasn't. you know?
Yeah, eccentric. Yeah, the thin line between crazy and eccentric is a tough one to follow. But I won't characterize you as crazy, not yet at least.
Okay.
But definitely definitely eccentric and jovial.
Yeah.
We'll just.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, well, I really just gotten to enjoy this time together, Emil, and got to
Yeah.
hear about how you've been a part of First or known about First Rate and been there from the beginning, and now to see it come full circle and just see how even back then I think just how you notice those core values of love, give, serve, and enjoy uh, in First Rate from the get go, and then that planted a seed, and who knew that seed would eventually become a advisory board seat and a Christmas tree farm. So it's the most wonderful of seeds that can come out of seemingly nowhere, and it's beautiful to watch them grow. And so I've really appreciated getting to chat with you and walk through that journey and how that all came to be. And I always enjoy our time together, especially since you
Oh,
like to call me your spiritual advisor.
I gave you a big title. I
A
gave you
big
a
title.
very
It's a lofty title, and I definitely am honored, but to have that title, but makes me worried that I got to make sure not to mess up.
Nah, you can't. Can't.
So, but it really has been a pleasure, and I appreciate it, and I thank you for taking the time, and I thank our listeners for making it all the way to this end and enjoy it. And we appreciate you listening, and we can't wait to see you on our next podcast. So, thank you very
But
much, and everybody have a great day.